Hi, I'm Mary Ellen Bornak, Instructional Designer here at Bucks County Community College. This presentation was originally given with Language and Literature instructor Michael Hennessy at the Bucks County Community College Faculty of the Future and also at the Conference on Information Technologies, both in 2004. The information is based on research from papers presented at a Sloan C workshop, and Michael, who uses discussion extensively in his courses, gave the practical insight and shared his online learning experience. I'll be sharing Michael's insight with you in this presentation. Research clearly identifies elements crucial to learning. We'll be talking about the research that provides this insight, then strategies, and then practical advice for implementing them. The three elements that students identified as crucial to their learning and satisfaction are social, cognitive, and teaching presence interactions. Social is the ability of participants to coalesce for a common purpose. Cognitive is the opportunity to construct meaning or confirm understanding. Teaching presence is the guidance provided to create a purposeful community of inquiry. It's interesting that online learners ranked the cognitive element as key to their learning. This is important for online learning since it is teaching presence that leads to cognition, or what we call deeper learning. An instructor's use of the discussion tool is where a teacher most effectively can create this presence by modeling. Modeling social element will engage learners. As the instructor, you will be modeling the tone and climate of discussion. Most of you use introductions as courses begin. Expand that with getting to know you exercises that force interactivity among students. Doing these activities in the discussion establishes this tool as the heart of class learning. It's a good idea to lay out your expectations and your rules of the road early on. You might want to give an example of what you consider a good and maybe a not acceptable posting. Sometimes you will be creating consensus, pulling threads of understanding, or building cohesion in a discussion. There are many roles you may play to encourage the social interaction. You could be there to encourage debate, to clarify similarities and differences, to summarize a consensus. You could also be there to encourage lurkers. Use your personality. It's your classroom. Share your experiences. Michael added that he uses discussion to create community. Be a person and encourage students to do the same. Modeling the cognitive element to prompt higher order thinking. The cognitive element of learning is a pathway to deeper learning. Some devices that prompt higher order thinking are using trigger questions, posing the problem, pushing students to explore, then help them to integrate ideas or construct solutions. Encourage reflection by bringing critical assessment to student solutions. Help with reconstruction. After reflection on many themes, can another truth or meaning be reconstructed? Redirect and evolve. Is there another way to look at this problem? Be able to recognize and encourage the cognitive cycle so you can be assured of some deeper learning happening in your course. There's a cycle that produces good discussion. It starts with critical thinking, but develops by sharing ideas, getting feedback, and perhaps changing a view. A reflection on the outcome of this kind of discussion would reveal deeper learning. Teaching presence produces student satisfaction. Research is telling us that teaching presence creates satisfaction or learning for students. Student satisfaction reflects the interaction behaviors of instructors and students both in face-to-face and online classes. Research showed that it is a perception of how well the instructor facilitated discourse and direct instruction that produced higher satisfaction and learning. So it is the instructor, the teaching presence, that determines value for students. There are many roles an instructor can play in discussion. You can play an active role, a restrained role, or just do direct instruction. Taking an active role, an instructor can motivate by expressing enthusiasm in participation, can guide either on the side or as a coach, provide structure by making sure all are observing the rules and keeping the quality of discussion on track. You can provide thoughtful, provocative topics, ask questions, Musings to provide takeoff points. All are tactics that can be used. An instructor in the active role is there when providing feedback, providing direction, support, help, or problem solving as students wrestle with many points of view. Modeling teaching presence in the restrained role. In the restrained role, an instructor can be present but stay on the side and monitor waiting for that teaching moment. A restrained role during student discussion may take patience. You may have to bite your tongue, crack your knuckles, and wait for that moment when it's best to guide the discussion to relevance. Michael's insight was that he would monitor for the opportunity to jump in, and these were the times when facilitation was needed to make the discussion move along, when reconstruction was needed to help derive meaning from the discussion, when redirection was required to thread the discussion and bring it back on track. He also jumps in to get everyone involved, or to comment on the thoughtful and remind of quality in the rubric he presented early on as his rule of the road. Modeling teaching presence by direct discussion. Teaching presence is most obvious when delivering content through discussion. You can use discussion in a more direct way by linking, using meaningful sites for current events and guest lecturers, either real-time or asynchronous. Attaching handouts, charts, math solutions. By focusing, calling attention to important issues in your content. Instructing, taking advantage and reacting to teaching moments. Summarizing and reiterating. Confirming, as we all are on the same page on this point. As a direct instructor, you're there to correct misperceptions. Share your knowledge, be the expert. Teaching presence as a facilitator. Michael provides a rubric early on to his students. That is their guide on how he is going to judge their postings and grade their discussion. Rubrics also assign grade weight to discussion. This gives responsibility to students to solve their own problems. Encourage students to recognize and integrate all ideas and provoke critical thinking. Perhaps defining a thoughtful post. They know this is being graded. They know that they need to be there. And here is Michael's description of a thoughtful post. It is defined as one that goes beyond simple agreeing or disagreeing by giving reasons or evidence. It examines and questions assumptions, and it connects the question and or another student's response. So here are some strategies that you can use in discussion to scaffold learning. Social involvement. Use community building exercises. Address students by name. Use creative introductions. Ask them to describe themselves using 8 nouns. Use a question. Ask, did the coverage of the Simpson murder trial influence the verdict? What are your expectations of this course? Use engagement. Ask students to vote on an issue. It could be anything from a class management issue to an opinion poll. Create pro and con teams on an issue. An activity I've built into courses here at Bucks that's pretty successful is Discovery of the Week. Use direct instruction. Galileo did not get the theory of motion correct, however he did nail the position of the planets. Use modeling and examples. Does Plato's cave remind you of anything you've experienced lately? What about the movie Matrix? Use feedback and praise. Your description of the features on that website really showed me why it was not effective. I wouldn't have recognized the navigation and graphic challenges. Encourage articulation. You said you really liked reading The Brothers Karamazov. Describe the character you liked or disliked the most. Provide options. Allow students to choose 2 or 3 out of several topics presented to respond to. Present different discussion tracks. Have different students choose and facilitate topics each week. And be there as a manager. If the Modern Art group wants to begin another thread in this discussion, that would be great, and I'll provide a folder. But let's just now stay on track and connect the classics. Discussion that counts. Here are some points that Michael makes part of his rubric. And I think they work. Because a student once said to him, I truly get something out of the post. Maybe in the future the post should count for a bigger portion of the grade. The last Turner postings, when you gave us what you thought was the thesis, really helped me get a better understanding of what a thesis should be. I think the posts are a great learning tool and students shouldn't feel like it is busy work. Michael doesn't, he grades them. It's a big part of their grade. Here's an example of Michael's first post in a forum. Hi folks, here are the questions assigned for the King story. Your name is listed on top of your question. Please read the story and then compose a response to your assigned question before reading the post. Paste your question into the top of your post so readers will know exactly what you are responding to and sign your post. After posting your response, be sure to respond to someone else's post using the quote feature to create a conversation. You may reply to someone who has posted a response to the same question or reply to a post in another question. Think in terms of college-level paragraphs. 1 or 2 will be fine for your responses. All posts are due by, in this case it was Friday, January 30th. Thanks. And then he adds, remember, a thoughtful post is defined as one that goes beyond simply agreeing or disagreeing by giving reasons or evidence. It examines or questions the assumptions contained in the question or another student's response to the question, and or it connects the question and or another student's response to any of the assigned readings for the course or any other reading the student has done. There are a lot of options there, but Michael laid ground rules. Bonk's discussion rule of 3 to 20. I thought you'd be interested in this. Dr. Curtis J. Bonk. That's not him. That's just what he sounds like. He's an expert, a professor of educational psychology as well as an instructional systems technology person at Indiana University. He has more than 100 publications on these topics. He is a guru. This is his assessment of how little or how much to post and his golden rules. You can make your own rules, but it's really a good idea to read what other people in the field are saying about this. This is some of the feedback that Michael has gotten to the question on a survey. Was the mixture of lecture and discussion appropriate? Would you change that ratio? It is recommended that you survey students in all of your courses, face-to-face or online, so you can decide if changes are needed in your course, not only in discussion, but your whole course. Here is some feedback that Michael received from students in his class. From the survey in answer to the question, what surprised you most about this class? And this feedback is in response to the survey question, setting aside the issue of convenience for you as a student to not have to be on campus, do you think the distance learning version of this class is a sound way of teaching composition? Do you think there are important aspects of the face-to-face version of composition that cannot or have not been adequately represented here? You can see the student was pretty happy with the online version.